Hi, welcome to Positively Sparking, a podcast on internet marketing, online productivity, and business. Today I'm with Paul Lancaster, founder of Plan Digital and the Newcastle Startup Week. We're going to be chatting with Paul about his passion for connecting people and for supporting entrepreneurship in his native region of the Northeast. So hey Paul, welcome to the podcast.
Hi there, thanks for inviting me.
That's good to have you here. So Paul, most of us will have not come across you, even though you are famous in your native Northeast. Just tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so Paul Lancaster, I'm the founder of Plan Digital and Newcastle Startup Week. A lot of people might know me better for my Twitter handle, which is Lord Lancaster, which I'm not a real lord, not yet. I'm working on it, but yeah. So I'm pretty active on social media. I've been helping other people start their own business for about 13 years. Working for various enterprise agencies and youth enterprise schemes like Shell Livewire. Working for big companies like Sage and Tech North, which is part of Tech City UK. And then I finally started my own business last year. Like I say, after 13 years of helping other people do that. And so yeah, I do a similar sort of thing, but do it independently, do business development, marketing consultancy, partnerships, and basically just anything and everything I can to help people start and grow their own business.
Sounds great, Paul. So I didn't realise that you just started out in your own business a year ago. That's a great move. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's one of those things that when you spend time with other small business owners or entrepreneurs, you can't help but get the bug, I think. So, like I say, most of my jobs that I've done over the years have been about helping other people. That's something that I'm really, really passionate about. I like doing things where I feel like I can add value, signposting, giving help and advice, and just using my networks and influence to help other people. So I've done bit of everything, I've done business advice, lots of mentoring, looked after funding, little pots of funding that I've been able to distribute to new businesses and growing businesses. I've read all the books, I've been to all the events, I've hung out with lots of entrepreneurs. So in a way, I've had the best possible preparation for starting my own business. But obviously, it's different when you finally do it. It's been great. It's like everything's going well, and I'm loving being self-employed. But until you've actually done it for yourself, then you can't. I don't think you can truly know what that's like. So yeah, I feel even more equipped to help other people start their own business now that I'm doing it myself.
Great stuff. And I think you're so right there. It doesn't matter how great a business plan we have, it usually doesn't go to plan. It might go great, but it's not quite. We can't predict what's going to happen, can we?
No, there's a great guy called Derek Sivers, which is like Rivers but with a S, and he's a very successful entrepreneur, American entrepreneur who created a company called CD Baby, which was a way
I remember it.
Do you remember it? Yes, a way for independent musicians and artists to distribute their CDs online. And he's wrote a brilliant book called Anything You Want. And it's basically, it's kind of like a memoir and his thoughts on entrepreneurship and all that sort of stuff. But there's some great bits in there. And one of them is your business plan. Your business plan is moot. Like it's out of date as soon as you publish it, and nothing goes to plan as soon as it hits the market. And it's true, you can do the best business plan and you can think that you've covered all the bases, but until you get out there and you're engaging with the customers, you can never truly know.
Totally right, absolutely. And Paul, we're already hearing your great ability to articulate what you're thinking there, and you're known as a super connector. I'm sure largely down to that great articulation you have. But just tell us about what that means. How did you get that name?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit tongue in cheek, but I am kind of known as the super connector in the Northeast, and Newcastle in the Northeast, which is where I'm based. And where it comes from is because many years ago, I read a great book called The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell.
Great book.
And it's fantastic. And as I was reading it, it's basically, that book is all about how some ideas take off and become really successful and others don't. And it kind of tries to understand what ingredients you need to have to take a great idea and make it huge. And he talks in there about how you need three types of people. You need people who are known as mavens, so people who are just really curious about the world and just love discovering new things and new ideas and just get a thrill from discovering new ways of thinking and working. So the mavens. Then you've also got the connectors, and the connectors are the people who take that information and actually do something with that. And it's more than just telling one or two people. These connectors will actively go out of their way to find as many people as possible that they think would benefit from that idea. So they'll actually go through their address book and think, right, this person needs to know about it, And then the third type of person is our salesmen or salespeople. So the people who then try to sell it from a business and commercial point of view. So as I was reading, I was thinking, actually, that sounds like me. I think I am a maven, and I'm also a connector because I'm doing this anyway. So I thought, I want to be the best possible connector I can be. And since then, the last probably 7 years, that's what I've set out to be, to just be the best possible connector, maven, salesman of ideas and bringing people together that I can be. So yeah, I think wrapped into one thing. I'm the super connector. So
Great. So it sounds like a superhero of types, a business superhero.
Well, my background's marketing, so you've got to have a USP, don't you? You've got to come up with something that gets people's attention. And so, super connector, Lord Lancaster, things like that. They're memorable.
Yeah,
they stand out, and they make people smile when you say things.
Yeah, and that's such a great power, isn't it? The ability to make people smile. That makes it easier to ask them to listen. So the two go together. So Paul, in this digital age, and despite you being a marketing person and a digital person, you really believe in the real connection of people. So how do we do that online?
I think the main thing that has worked for me and people that I've worked for, so people like Sage and Shell Livewire and TechNorth and anything else that I've done over the years, it's authenticity. So like cutting through all the kind of corporate jargon or all the buzzwords and just speaking like a real person, like understand your target audience, understand what makes them tick, walking in their shoes, putting yourself in their position, and that's always worked really well for me. And I definitely think earlier this year I got asked to contribute to a blog where it was all about marketing trends for this year, and I've actually said I think this year is all about authenticity and localism as well, and that some people think that might be a bad thing. So I think things like Brexit, Trump, all these like crazy things that have happened or have caught people off guard, it's actually a long-term thing where people are just getting sick of things that just don't make sense, or don't resonate with them at a local level, or don't sort of make sense in their personal experience. So if you're a small business or even a big business, if you can talk to people in a way that sounds unique or directly relevant to them, you'll have much more success than if you're trying to speak at a global level to no one in particular. So I think language is so important, and actually the Americans are very good at this. All the most successful tech and digital companies are really good at. Yes, it's all American, and it's it doesn't always feel comfortable to do this if you're British, but they just kind of know how to cut down on the words and just get straight to the point. IKEA is another good example. If you walk around an IKEA store, the simplicity of language and messaging. I think that's a key thing. But be a real person. Don't just be this faceless brand or company. And I'm very visible online and offline. So that seems to people seem to warm to that and like that.
A great point, Paul. And you used one of my favourite words there, which is authenticity. And I think there's two ways I think businesses have to find a way through. So the first one is when we're a really small business, we can be very tempted to make the world think we're bigger than we are or believe we're doing that. But when we do things in that manner, we always end up in a situation where we get asked to do something we can't really do, or we never become great at one thing because we're trying to do too many. And so those two examples are how I think we have to strive to be authentic, is be proud of who we are, even if it's just us on our own. That is fine, because one person can be fantastic at one thing, but what we can't be is everything to everyone.
Yeah.
And that's where that focus that you're talking about there is so important.
Yeah. Do you know what's interesting? When you're talking there, all the big businesses really want to be small. Like they really want that authenticity that they can't have in a way that the smaller micro businesses can. So they're desperate for that. And then and the small businesses, there's a lot of them who are desperate to be like a big business. So
yeah, it's true.
It's funny. The grass is always greener, but in that's worth people knowing about, because there's lots of opportunities for partnership there. So that's why I know one of your previous guests, Tony Robinson.
Yes.
So me, Tony, and Tina Bolden, we've done 3 years in a row now where we've done the Microbrews Matters Day, which is a day of celebrating micro business owners, 0 to 9 employees. And we do partner up with big businesses like Sage and Fujitsu and ScanSnap and other companies like 123 Reg and things like that. And the reason that works is they support us, but they know that actually we are the ones who are running the show, and it's our voices and our authentic voices and our connections, genuine connections with the micro business owners that they are tapping into. And it's a very soft sell. That's much better than them coming in and trying to hit people over the head with kind of big business messages, which just doesn't resonate with a lot of micro business owners who might have started in the corporate world and left for whatever reason, and they decided they don't actually like the corporate world. So, but there are lots of opportunities, I think, for small and big to work together, complementary skill sets, and it's a symbiotic relationship that could be explored a lot further, I think.
I think you're so right. I love the Microbrews Matters Day. I think it's a great thing. It's great work by you, Tony, and Tina there. And what I love about it is it brings focus on to very, very small businesses. Yeah. And everything else in the corporate world seems to focus on the huge growth and the hugely vast global businesses out there. And so I think that's some of the reason why lots of entrepreneurs aspire to be the next Google or the next Facebook or the next big company that is internationally famous, because all the publicity and all the government support tends to focus on that style. So Microbrews Matters Day is the only day I know that focuses on small, independent sole traders and people up. I think it's 9 people, isn't it, at Microbrews?
Yeah, so 0 to 9 employees.
Yeah, and that size of business is probably 90% of the world.
Yeah, well, Tina and Tony are fantastic. The enterprise rockers, Microbrews Matters Day. I mean, they relentlessly promote and champion micro businesses everywhere, not just in the UK, but all around the world. They do it all year round. They've been doing it for years. And I've known them online through Twitter for years, but then we really hit it off, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago when we actually spent a bit of time together, and they told me about the idea for Microbrews Matters Day. So at the time I was working for Sage, but the job I was doing was how can Sage understand smaller micro business owners better, and how can we tailor our service to them in a way that benefits them. So because of my background, that's why they brought me in, because I understood that target audience better. And whilst working at Sage, we sponsored the first Microbrews Matters Day. So we put a bit of money into it. We brought in Google, who were another partner. So 2 heavyweight brands there supporting Microbrews Matters Day. And then I was kind of the tech sort of behind the scenes making sure it was all working with the Google Hangouts, but it was Tina and Tony and the other micro business owners that were the stars for the day. And we've just kept that relationship going ever since. But you're right. It's a lot of the things that you read about in the media are US, so Silicon Valley tech startups, which is frustrating if you're a UK business. And I always used to think, when you hear a politician saying we want to create another Google, I always used to think, no, we don't. We need to create another Sage, because Sage, yes, I worked for them and they're based in Newcastle, but I think everybody in the country should be immensely proud of Sage, which is started 3 guys in a pub. It's now a hugely successful global business, FTSE 100, the only FTSE 100 tech company, but they're still got their global headquarters in Newcastle in the north of England. So instead of saying we need another Google, we should say we need more Sages, and be proud of that. But as well as that, definitely a lot of the talk is about SMEs, and SME is from up to 250 employees. Well, a 250 employee business has a completely different needs to a 0 to 9 employee business, which is why Tina and Tony have come up with the Microbrews Matters Day campaign.
Great stuff. And it's so important for all the reasons that you've said. And one thing I want to ask you there, Paul, is you've talked a lot about Microbrews Matters Day there, and there's other schemes that you've mentioned as well that you support. And that's obviously really important to you, is that getting out there and really helping something happen. So tell us more about that. What drives you to be a great support for other businesses, and specifically in your area? Yeah,
well, as you can probably tell from my accent, I'm based in Newcastle. I'm a really proud northeasterner, but a really proud northerner. I just love the north of England. And in my previous role, when I was working for Tech North, my job was community engagement and partnerships for the north of England. So that was Newcastle, Sunderland, Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield, and Hull. That was my patch. So every week I was just travelling around all these different amazing northern towns and cities, and being the eyes and ears for the team, encouraging greater collaboration within cities and between cities, doing marketing and promoting of exciting new businesses, startups and scale-ups, distributing fun and all kinds of stuff like that. It was a fantastic job for me. It was a perfect job, really. But it just reminded me how much I loved the north of England. Just all of these great places in the north of England. There's great places all over the country, but I'm just really passionate about the north. And that experience, great as it was, I decided that actually instead of spreading my time between all of these 7 northern cities, I want to spend all my time focusing on the northeast. So that's. Although I do other things across the country and do get involved in things in other regions, most of my time is spent now on helping grow the northeast economy. And there are different ways to do that, but by being independent, I'm able to move freely between working with startups, to corporates, to public sector, all kinds of. I'm very free, kind of freewheeling, very agile, mobile. I get invited to a lot of things. And one of the reasons people like working with me is because I'm tapped into all these different networks, and that's where the innovation happens, the crossover, the blur at the edges. From working with the academics, working with the digital creatives, working with the public sector, and that idea of being a connector or a super connector. There's opportunities everywhere, but there's not enough people who are working there to bring people together from different disciplines and different sectors, which is something that I'm doing, and you can get huge value from doing that, just by joining the dots and acting as some kind of matchmaker.
Great stuff. I think you've just outlined beautifully the passion in what you do there. So, your USP and your superpower as a super connector is that passion you have for all those different kinds of people and bringing them together. So one thing I want to ask you there, Paul, is lots of digital people in kind of my world of the digital marketing and the online productivity and whatever else are more introverted. They're trapped in their bedrooms and offices to some extent and perhaps feel very confident kind of relating to people online, emailing, doing social media. What do you recommend they do to get out there into the real world and make proper connections with real people like you do?
I mean, it's a bit of a cliche, but business is all about people. So, I do spend a lot of time on social media. I'm very active on Twitter. Actually, I joke about it, but if someone wants to get a quick response from me, they're better off sending me a tweet or a DM than an email because my email inbox, an email could sit in there for days or even weeks or sometimes longer, depending on how busy I am. But if someone tweets me, I'll usually get a response within minutes, and that's just a faster way for me to communicate. But also, as well as using it as a communication tool, I can add value there because I've got a decent number of followers. I've got like 9,000 Twitter followers. If I like something and I retweet it or I share something, I'm doing that all the time. For no real benefit to me other than I'm helping, but in helping other people, I'm obviously helping myself. And it all fits. Everything that I talk about on social media is to do with startups, micro business owners, entrepreneurship, marketing. It's all got the same sort of theme. I don't really talk about personal stuff on Twitter. It's all business related, but it's niche in that it's focused on certain topics. So I do spend a lot of time on there, but I am a social guy. I like going to lots of networking events. The place that I work, I'm based in Campus North, which is a fantastic co-working and event space in the city centre of Newcastle. And I'm just in an open plan office with another 60 or so freelancers, developers, startups. So there's hot desking, there's co-working, there's people coming and going all the time. And I get a lot of value just from being in that environment where the people I'm sat around, we're all working on different businesses, but we're always collaborating and sharing ideas and helping each other. And I go to a lot of networking events as well, but it's one of those things that you have to put yourself out there. Obviously, I think you have to give to get, and there's if you're not, you've got to start somewhere. I haven't always been this great networker or this great super connector, or a lot of it has come just from the job that I've done, or because it's been part of my role. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. And I think just, but even if you're not comfortable doing that, you can still add a lot of value by making connections, helping people out online. I mean, even what you're doing, if you did nothing else but these great podcasts, you're helping, you're getting messages out there. You're in a way that some people really into podcasts. They listen to them when they're driving. They listen to them on the way to work, and they prefer that to reading stuff online or even in a face-to-face environment. But you've just got to start somewhere, but make it easy on yourself and find a place where it's going to be a friendly environment and it's going to be amongst similar like-minded people.
All great stuff, Paul, and thank you for the nice comments about the podcast. It's great for me because I get to speak to people like you every week. I learn from everyone, I really do. Paul, one thing I just wanted to mention, you were talking about Newcastle there, and as you were talking, I just realised that one thing Newcastle has is this amazing friendliness. You mentioned it there at the end as well, about finding a friendly environment. And I've probably been to Newcastle maybe 4 or 5 times in my whole life. But I sort of feel like I know it. And that's actually more down to the friendliness of the people than it is about my geographical knowledge of the place, because I don't know my way around at all. But that's such a great kind of unique selling point in the UK. I was trying to think, what other city have I been to where it's as friendly? And the only one I can think of is Dublin.
Yeah. I'll tell you another one, Liverpool.
Okay, I don't know Liverpool too well.
Yeah, I think Newcastle and Liverpool are quite similar. The sort of nature of the people. They are very friendly, and I don't know. It's a um, genuine sort of feeling of wanting to help other people. I think it's one of those things that if you go there with an open mind, or that you kind of embrace the city, and if you people are very proud, right across the north, and rightly so, right? So if you give people a bit of credit and a bit of love for what they've got, they'll embrace you. So it doesn't matter where you're from. If you came to Newcastle or Liverpool or some of the other northern cities, but particularly Newcastle, I think, if you just show a little bit of love for the city, then and Sunderland or the other northeastern places, if you show a little bit of love for it, you are welcomed in. You're one of us. We really respond well to that. So yeah, it is a very very warm and inviting place to be, and it's a compact. Particularly Newcastle is a very compact city as well. It's easy to walk around. I go everywhere on foot or public transport, and I don't think I could do everything that I do in another city. I love Manchester. I love Leeds. I love it, but Newcastle, to me, I can get things done much quicker and much easier in a city like this, where people are so open and want to help, and everyone's just literally a phone call or a tweet away, or they're easy to find because you know where they go, what networking events to be at, and it's this sort of thing that I'm trying to get across with a lot of my work, especially Newcastle Startup Week, this event that I'm doing in May.
Great stuff. I think it's time I came again, Paul, with that description.
Yeah, no, come up in May. Come up in May if you can for the event.
So tell us a bit more about that event. That sounds like a really intriguing thing.
Yeah, so like I say, I mean, to me, Newcastle is a great place to start and grow a business. Okay, it's also got a well-deserved reputation as being some kind of test bed city. So because the costs are lower, the cost of living is lower, but the quality of living is high. So we're trying to, me and lots of other people are trying to remind people about the history of innovation and invention that's gone on hundreds of years here in Newcastle. All the great things that originated from here and are still coming from here now. So, and also there's a wide range of help and advice and support for new businesses, whether they're starting out from scratch or whether they're relocating or if they want to expand by opening an office here. There's loads of help and advice for that. But also we've got some great businesses, some real world-class businesses here that most people wouldn't believe the sort of stuff that goes on here. So basically, I've been thinking about this for a few years. I wanted to do something big that would bring everything together and celebrate everything that we got here. So I've come up with the idea of a 5-day citywide multi-venue Newcastle Startup Week Festival. So from Monday the 15th to Friday the 19th of May, it's all about celebrating our local success stories of the past, present, and future. So that day one is Inspiration Day, and we're doing that in Robert Stevenson and Co.'s incredible boiler shop venue. So this is from the 1820s. This is where Robert Stevenson, famous for the rocket and other steam engines, this was his factory for steam engines. So that's the starting point. So Inspiration Day. Then on Tuesday, we're doing Get Started Day, which, practical first steps to bring that idea to life and getting started. Wednesday is Funding and Finance Day. Thursday is Growing and Scaling Day. So what I mean by that is sales, marketing, PR, recruitment, personal development, and mindset as well. So if you do want to grow beyond a one-person business or a small team into something bigger, what do you actually need? And a lot of it is psychology. It's mindset and being able to let go or delegate or think bigger. So that's on the Thursday. And then on the Friday is Keep Going or Pivot. So do you keep going? How do you keep going? Or do you pivot? And pivot's a term that gets used a lot in the tech startup world, but it's basically, you might think you're going to do one thing, but you find that your way ahead is blocked. So you just pivot and you have like a slightly different path, or you might completely change your business model, or you might even give up. You might realize that actually that there's just not a business there. I've got to try something different. So in those 5 days, we're trying to give people what they would learn in 5 months in 5 days, really kind of speed things up and supercharge the startup and small business world here in not just Newcastle but the Northeast. So anyone who is interested in starting a business or growing a business would love to see them there. And it's at the moment, I don't know when your podcast's going to go out, but at the minute, to make it as inclusive as possible, we've got early bird tickets where we're, thanks to our sponsors, we're only charging £20 a ticket for the whole week. So,
wow, that's a great price.
Well, it's to borrow a phrase from the great Steve Jobs. It's insanely good. It's it is. You know, I know it should be more expensive, but the reason I'm keeping it so low is because I'm trying to reach the people that wouldn't normally go to these types of events, that are hard to reach, or even just the people who have an idea, but they just haven't a clue where to start or what to do. So by keeping it, I don't want to make it free, because if it's completely free, people don't always value it and you get large drop-off rates. But 20 quid it's something. They've actually invested a little something that's going to, it's a bit of a commitment that they're going to do. They're going to come to at least one of those days, but they have the option of going to all 5 days or just going to one day, or, you know, they can dip in and out throughout the week. And there's also nighttime activity, you know, there's after parties, networking events, free film screenings at the Tyneside Cinema. There's all kinds of stuff going on all week, and it's I don't think anyone else has done anything like this.
I agree with you,
as far as I know. So
yeah, it's so right, Paul, and everything that you've outlined in this interview, everything you've told us about yourself and your passions and what you believe in, is reflected in that week. I can honestly say that, and especially in the price. Because of all the things you said there, the one I loved hearing the most was how you wanted businesses who normally wouldn't go to something like that to attend. And the reason businesses don't go to events like that is it's usually 2,000 quid for the week. It usually outprices them. So amazing stuff.
Yeah, it's usually, well, cost is all, you know, it can be hundreds of pounds to go to something like this, or travel. You know, a lot of time you have to go to London to go to something like the Business Startup Show, which is a great event, but it's free to attend the Business Startup Show, but really where they make the money is from selling exhibition space. So you go there, you do see some great speakers, but you kind of, you know, you go through and you're bombarded with people shoving things in your hands and trying to sell you things. And I'm not actually having any exhibition space at all, apart from a few little pop-ups of people who are speaking on each of the days, just so if people want to find out a little bit more, they can. But it's not a marketplace. It's not an exhibition space. It's a place that people can come to learn practical tips and advice from people who've actually done it. It's the entrepreneurs, people who are a little bit further on than them, and also people who are from the Northeast or still are based in the Northeast or have a really strong connection to the Northeast. Because another thing, there are other events, 1 day events, 2 day events, where you go, they're very inspiring, but all the speakers are from somewhere else, and that or they're American, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's entertaining, and you're enjoyable, and you feel inspired and stuff. But to me, that reinforces the feeling that you have to come from somewhere else to be successful. So to see people on stage just like you, or they speak with an accent, a northern accent, and you might even know where they live. You know, you might think, oh well, you just live around the corner from me. I think that's a very powerful thing that we're trying to get across through the event, that you can be based anywhere, but particularly in the Northeast, and you don't have to move away. You can if you've got a good idea, you can be successful anywhere, especially with digital technologies these days.
Such a great point to make, because if you see someone achieving something, and as you say, you connect with them where they're from, what they're about, you are more inspired than seeing someone who seems to be from a different world, have had different opportunities and different influences in their life. It's tougher to believe you can do the same.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah. So that's, well, it seems to be resonating with people so far. There's a lot of excitement and support and goodwill towards the event. So I just we'll see you there hopefully. But yeah, come along if you can. But I'm just that's my main focus now. I'm doing other bits of work for other people, but most of my time and focus is spent on delivering the best possible event I can do in May, and hopefully, like I say, kickstart some sort of new entrepreneurial revolution in the northeast.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. So for me and everyone else to go and check out more about that event, where should we go and look?
Yeah, well, the website's just newcastlestartupweek.com, and if anyone wants to follow me in my adventures, it's just on Twitter at Lord Lancaster.
Great stuff. Paul, it's been a wonderful chat. Tell us anything you want to give to our listeners before you disappear and go and get into this startup week, which sounds hectic.
Yeah, well, it's going to be fun. It's obviously going to be busy. I'm probably going to need a lie down and a holiday afterwards, but I just can't wait. But it's going to be amazing.
Great stuff. Well, Paul, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It's been great talking to you, learning about the northeast and Newcastle, and I wish you so much success in the startup week.
Thanks very much. Okay, cheers. Thanks, Phil.
My name is Phil Byrne, and I'd like to thank you so much for listening today. I hope you got something really good to take away from this week's episode for you or your business. And you know what? I'd like to give you something more. In fact, I'd like to give you a whole free web marketing pack full of all my latest and best ideas on how you can take your business forward positively online. Download your pack at positivesparks.co.uk/pack. And most of all, guys, look forward to seeing you again next week.